Yes, happy Friday everyone.
Option C जाजरकोट यसको सही जवाफ भने अप्सन ए डोल्पा। यसै गरी क्वेसन नम्बर 14 तिलिचो ताल कुन जिल्लामा पर्दछ? अप्सन ए लमजुङ, अप्सन बी मनाङ, अप्सन सी गोर्खा। यसको सही जवाफ भने मनाङ। यसै गरी क्वेसन नम्बर 15 मा रहेको छ घोडाघोडी ताल कुन जिल्लामा पर्दछ? अप्सन ए कैलाली, अप्सन बी बाँके, अप्सन सी बर्दिया। यसको सही जवाफ भने कैलाली। यसै गरी क्वेसन नम्बर 16 मा रहेको छ नेपालको सबैभन्दा गहिरो ताल कुन हो? अप्सन ए फेवाताल, अप्सन बी सुन्दो ताल, अप्सन सी बेग्लस ताल। यसको सही जवाफ भने सुन्दो ताल। क्वेसन नम्बर 17 मा रहेको छ नेपालको सबैभन्दा ठुलो ताल कुन हो? अप्सन ए रारा ताल, अप्सन बी सुन्दो ताल, अप्सन सी बेग्लस ताल। यसको सही जवाफ भने अप्सन ए रारा ताल। यसै गरी क्वेसन नम्बर 18 मा रहेको छ नेपालको सबैभन्दा उचाइमा रहेको ताल कुन हो? अप्सन ए तिलिचो ताल, अप्सन बी रारा ताल, अप्सन सी सुन्दो ताल। यसको सही जवाफ भने अप्सन ए तिलिचो ताल। यसै गरी क्वेसन नम्बर 19 मा रहेको छ काठमाडौँ उपत्यकाको सबैभन्दा ठुलो ताल कुन हो? अप्सन ए कमल पोखरी, अप्सन बी दौदह, अप्सन सी तह। यसको सही जवाफ भने अप्सन बी दौदह। यसै गरी क्वेसन नम्बर 20 मा रहेको छ पोखरा उपत्यकाको सबैभन्दा ठुलो ताल कुन हो? अप्सन ए रूपा ताल, अप्सन बी फेवा ताल, अप्सन सी खास्टे ताल। यसको सही जवाफ रहेको छ अप्सन बी फेवा ताल। यसै गरी क्वेसन नम्बर 21 मा रहेको छ नेपालको सबैभन्दा लामो नदी कुन हो? अप्सन ए कर्णाली नदी, अप्सन बी महाकाली नदी, अप्सन सी गण्डकी नदी। यसको सही जवाफ रहेको छ अप्सन ए कर्णाली नदी। यसै गरी क्वेसन नम्बर 22 मा रहेको छ नेपालको सबैभन्दा ठुलो नदी पानीको बहावका आधारमा कुन हो? अप्सन ए गण्डकी नदी, अप्सन बी नारायणी नदी, अप्सन सी कोशी नदी। यसको सही जवाफ भने कोशी नदी। यसै गरी क्वेसन नम्बर 23 मा रहेको छ नेपालको पवित्र नदी भनेर कुन नदीलाई चिनिन्छ? अप्सन ए बागमती नदी, अप्सन बी गण्डकी नदी, अप्सन सी कर्णाली नदी। यसको सही जवाफ रहेको छ अप्सन ए बागमती नदी। यसै गरी क्वेसन नम्बर 24 मा रहेको छ त्रिशुली नदीको उद्गम स्थल कहाँ हो? अप्सन ए दामोदर कुण्ड, अप्सन बी गोसाई कुण्ड, अप्सन सी मुक्तिनाथ। सैदमा रहेको छ कोसाई कुण्ड। यसै गरी क्वेसन नम्बर 25मा रहेको छ गण्डकी प्रदेशको उद्गम स्थल कहाँ हो? अप्सन ए रसुवा, अप्सन बी डोल्पा, अप्सन सी मुस्ताङ। यसको सही जवाफ रहेको छ मुस्ताङ। यसै गरी क्वेसन नम्बर 26मा रहेको छ कोशी नदीको उद्गम स्थल कहाँ हो? अप्सन ए नेपाल, अप्सन बी तिब्बत, अप्सन सी भारत। यसको सही जवाफ भने तपाईँहरूले कमेन्ट बक्समा कमेन्ट गरिदिनु होला। आजको लागि चाहिँ मैले यहाँ नै भिडियो डिल गर्न गइरहेको छु। तपाईँहरूलाई भिडियो कस्तो लाग्यो जस्तो लाग्यो त्यस्तै प्रतिक्रिया दिनु होला। जहाँ हुनुहुन्छ जस्तो हुनुहुन्छ सुखी रहनु होला, खुसी रहनु होला। हस्त नमस्ते, बाई बाई
Hey everyone, Tita Emmy, sino pa ba nandyan? Good morning, Maruf, Lee, good morning Lee, Joris, good morning, hey. Making out of this, no, it's very lamig. Hindi naman ikaw kita. I'll put this here. Para kita ka. Hey. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Dia ipis dia naik kecil gili lele. Eh? Kecil? No, no. No kecil. Tapi belut.
Stick to one.
Ha?
Lele ini.
Ikat bilang tak? Lele ikat bilang.
Ina.
Ha?
The one stick.
Ay tawa. Yang belut dipanggil apa belut? Kalau belut dipanggil apa belut?
Bakit malamig yung tubig? Nilagay nila sa ref no?
Taong Bayan, and for today po pag-usapan natin tong most recent na nag-viral na topic po yung regarding dun sa 20% tax sa time deposit, specifically sa interest po ng mga time deposit. So kung makikita po ninyo dito, nakakatawa tong article ng Manila Times. So, crocodiles 20% tax on savings interest. Okay, so anyway, we will talk about this and then I will also give a short explanation on basic principles of taxation para mas maintindihan nyo po talaga kung ano ba yung concept and nature of the power of the government to tax. And may konting maritesan din po tayo sa dulo. Explain ko or magbibigay po ako ng mga personal opinion ko as to this new tax na in-impose po sa time deposit. Okay, so good evening po sa inyong lahat. This is your quote-unquote favorite DDS lawyer at yan po ang explain ko sa inyong lahat for this evening's video. Mag-enjoy po kayo sa video na to. Huwag niyo po sana kalimutan i-like yung video and of course mag-subscribe po sa YouTube channel ko. Okay, pero anyway po for today, I will first explain po muna talaga kung ano ba yung power of taxation. Okay? So the power of taxation is basically ito po yung kapangyarihan ng government natin, ng Republic of the Philippines para po pabayarin tayo ng ating buwis from the income po na generate natin as a citizen of the Republic of the Philippines. Okay? So yung pinakauna pong critical regarding taxation, the power of taxation, wala po kayong makikitang specific or express provision sa Constitution na nagsasabing pwede po mag-impose yung national government natin ng tax sa citizenry. Kung titingnan po ninyo yan, ang meron lang dyan is yung power ng Congress to enact taxation laws and then yung authority ng mga LGUs to also impose local taxes. Pero on a national level, wala pong nakalagay na specific constitutional provision. However po, kahit walang ganyan, pwede pa rin po tayo i-tax talaga ng ating government because the power of taxation po falls under what we call the inherent powers of a state, okay? So when you say inherent power po, ito yung mga kapangyarihan ng government kung saan it is essential po to the very existence of the government, okay? Kasi kung wala pong tax, hindi po makakakuha ng tax ang government, hindi rin po siya makaka-function. And it is for that reason po kung bakit tinawag yung taxes natin as the lifeblood of the government, okay? So i-rephrase ko lang po para mas maintindihan nyo talaga. Ang power to taxation po is one of the inherent powers of a state, meaning kahit wala po yan sa Constitution, pwede po yan gawin ng isang government considering nga po it is the very lifeblood po ng isang government. So yung mga taxes po na binabayad natin, yan po yung ginagamit mismo para paandarin yung government natin. So yung mga infrastructure projects pong nakikita natin, yung mga pinapasweldo po sa public servants, and then yung mga funds din po na ginagamit para mag-operate yung mga offices ng mga public servants natin, and of course yung mga controversial ayuda programs po natin. Lahat po yan nanggagaling sa taxes na binabayad po natin as taxpayers, okay? So yan po yung basic principles of taxation. So the source po of the new 20% tax imposed is from the Capital Markets Efficiency Promotions Act, okay? Or CMEPA po. It is a new law signed by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. noong May and it was enacted in July. So very recent po, ngayong buwan lang. So ito pong article na binabasa ko is from Philippine Star Global. So hanapin nyo na lang po itong article na to by searching po the subject matter. Ito po yung ginagamit ko ngayon as basis kasi may chart po sila dito differentiating at maganda po para ma-compare talaga natin yung mga tax rates from the old law and the current law. Okay, so kung makikita po ninyo dito, tax rates before the CMEPA, so ito pa yung lumang batas, walang taxes po pag more than 5 years yung time deposit ninyo. Tapos before maturity of 4 to 5 years, meron naman na pong 5% and then basta po pagpababa ng pababa yung maturity, mas mataas din po yung tax rate niyan before. So when you say maturity po, ito yung period kung saan hindi mo pwede galawin yung pera mo sa bangko. So basically ito lahat tinanggal ngayon. Tapos under the new law po, yung CMEPA naging 20% na siya, fixed 20% regardless of the maturity date or the nature po of your deposit. So for foreign currency deposit, it is also now 20%. Okay? So anyway po, ang pinakauna natin kailangan i-clarify talaga sa batas na ito is hindi po siya sa actual amount na dineposit nyo yung 20% is dun sa interest po na generate ng inyong deposit. Okay, so for example purposes po, kung mag-deposit kayo ng 10,000 sa bangko, hindi po kayo itatax ng 20% or 2,000 pesos. Hindi po yan yung amount na kukunin sa inyo. Kung ano lang po yung interest na ma-generate ninyo. So example, ito for example purposes na po, sabihin natin 10% po yung generate nyo a year. So in 1 year, meron pong 1,000 na income na nag-generate yung deposit ninyo. So dun sa 1,000, dun po kukunin yung 20%. So more or less nasa 200 pesos po yun. Okay, so yan po yun. Hindi po sa actual amount deposited, rather it is in the interest that is generated po from the amount that you deposit, yung kukunin yung 20% tax. Okay, so that's just something that I would like to clarify kasi meron po akong mga nakikitang posts na misconception po. Akala nila dun sa actual amount deposited. Okay? So I am just emphasizing this po kasi it is also very important na fully ma-educate po talaga tayong mga nagde-deposit sa bangko as to these issues kasi baka po magkaroon ng tinatawag na bank run. Okay, when you say bank run, yan po yung situation kung saan magpapanik po yung mga bank depositors tapos bigla nilang i-withdraw, magkakaroon po ng massive withdrawal ng funds deposited, and in that situation po, posible po kasi mag-collapse ang isang bangko. And if a bank will collapse po, that will have a huge economic impact po sa bansa natin. So it is also very important po for us to be well informed para po hindi tayo magpanik agad kung may mga nakikita tayong mga ganitong balita regarding new taxation. Okay? So yan po yung explanation ko dyan. Pero tandaan po ninyo, hindi ko sinasabi na porket sa interest rate yung 20% is tama yun or okay lang na bigla lang tayong pinapabayad ng ganitong tax rates. I am not in that position po. I am simply explaining to you the importance of knowing the legal nuances po para makamake po talaga tayo ng informed and or smart decision regarding mga ganitong bagay. Okay? Sa ano ko na lang to, personal opinion. So I'm just saying personal opinion because of course I'm not an expert on the matter considering di naman po ako economist, di ba? But I am still a consumer, I am a depositor, and I like to read market na yan every now and then. So meron naman po tayong konting knowledge regarding this, yung mga percentages na yan, yung mga inflation and or interest rates, okay? So anyway, yung pinaka-point ko po dito, yung first reason po kung bakit hindi ako in favor dun sa 20% na interest rate sa interest earned is because of the inflation rate po dito sa bansa natin versus the interest earned po sa mga time deposits natin. Okay? So kung makikita po ninyo yung inflation po natin, and this one is from 2024-2025. Ito po sa Philippine Statistics Authority po to. So from May, June, July, so on and so forth. Kung makikita nyo, 3.1 all the way tumaas to 3.7. Tapos currently ngayon, nasa 1.7 po tayo for May 2025. So on average po, tingin ko yung inflation rate natin for the last year is somewhere between po 2 to 2.5%. Okay, based on this data from PSA. So yung pinaka-point ko po dito, kung 2.5% yung inflation, tapos yung interest earned mo lang sa time deposit mo is let's say 6%, edi halos kalahati po dun sa in-earn mo sa interest na wala agad simply because of inflation, di ba? 2.5 tapos 6% ang kinita mo. Close to half agad yung nawala. So in other words po, kung sa inflation pa lang, halos wala ka nang income sa interest earnings mo, tapos ngayon dadagdagan pa ng 20%, edi parang ano na, close to more than half na po yung nalugi sa'yo agad simply by depositing your money in the bank. So sa ganyang situation po, ang tingin ko kung ako, parang wala nang point, di ba, na mag-time deposit ka. Di ilabas mo na lang yung pera mo in that situation, and if you withdraw your funds, if majority of the public will withdraw their funds, then of course, like what I explained earlier, that can lead to what we call nga a bank run, di ba? Tapos pag nagkaroon ng bank run, that will lead to a impact sa economy at sa bansa po natin, okay? So instead na ma-entice ka mag-deposit pa ng pera mo, mawawalan ka na talaga ng gana because of this, considering yung other factors pa if we add yung sa inflation, di ba? Plus the mere fact yung 6% po, that is for time deposits nga po yan. Paano pag hindi pala time deposit? So kung gawin mo lang yearly yung deposit mo, yung time deposit mo, mas mababa pa yung interest na ibibigay sa'yo ng bangko. Tapos yung itatax sa'yo 20% pa rin. Tapos yung inflation is similar pa rin naman yung application. So yun nga po, like what I stated already, mawawalan po ng purpose or sense or value to actually make time deposits. Okay? And the second reason naman po, ito punta naman tayo kay Mayor Vico Soto po of Pasig City. So dito kung makikita ninyo, this is an old article already po, October 15, 2024, Inquirer.net. So anyway, yung subject po nito, yung title, Vico Soto, Pasig City to use annual savings for new City Hall. And the reason why I am sharing this, kasi yung sabi po dito ni Mayor Vico, we've saved a huge amount. We've saved what used to go to the standard operating procedure amounting to over 1 billion a year. Diba? So nakatipid po sila sa Pasig City ng 1 billion a year. Our funds keep growing at 1 billion per year over 3 terms. We've saved more than 9 billion and it could even reach over 10 billion million, the Pasig City Mayor said in Filipino during his State of the City address on Monday. So yung point ko po dito, kung effective po, maayos at magaling po ang leader ng isang LGU, kaya po magkaroon ng ganito kalaking amount ng savings without actually imposing new taxes, di ba? So sila Mayor Vico lang, because of his transparency, his good governance style of leadership, this is not new income generated po, these are just savings, di ba? So dahil po sa savings ito, hindi na po nila kailangan mag-impose sa mga bagong local taxes para lang magkaroon sila ng pondo for the construction of their new city hall. So in short, yung point ko lang po, kung kaya sa Pasig tapos ma-emulate yan all throughout the country, edi madami pong savings ma-generate yung mga local government units natin, which can be used for more government programs without actually imposing new taxes, diba? So si Mayor Vico has already showed all of us that this is doable to have extra funds by savings, by a good governance. So sa tingin ko kaya naman po yan ng national government natin, other LGUs, as long as we really stick to the very essence po of being a public servant. So anyway, yung main point ko po dito, wag po sana agad isipin na imposition of new taxes. Dapat unahin muna natin ano ba yung pwede ma-improve para mas maka-generate pa ng more savings ang government. Kasi tatandaan po natin, if your governance, your leadership is not effective, it is full of corruption, kahit na po anong increase ninyo ng tax, a big portion of that po is mawawala pa rin because of corruption and red tape, di ba? In other words, kung ako po tatanungin, wag po sana maging tax first lagi yung mentality natin because that is added burden po to the citizens of the Republic of the Philippines, di ba? Kung meron po tayong pwedeng mapagpunan ng funds, meron po tayong masave, yun po sana yung gawin muna, okay? But of course, that is just my personal opinion po as a citizen of the Republic of the Philippines. Hindi ko naman po sinasabi tama yung aking point of view, but I am just sharing lang po my personal opinion kasi ako po nawala na ako ng gana mag-deposit dahil dito parang gusto ko na lang ilabas yung pera ko. Although wala rin naman ako masyadong pera talaga. Pero yun yung naging feeling ko po as a citizen of the Republic of the Philippines. Anyway, if you like more legal videos po, as usual, may lalabas po yan sa gilid ng mukha ko that YouTube po will recommend sa inyo. And if you want to be notified kung may bago po tayong update, subscribe lang po kayo sa channel ko. And of course, huwag nyo rin po kalimutan ma-like yung video. And until next time, see you all po. Bye-bye! Happy rainy weekday, guys! Okay, so good evening po taong bayan at ngayon po pag-usapan natin yung most recent negotiations between PBBM and President Trump of the United States of America tungkol po sa mga tariff rates po between the Philippines and USA. Okay, so interesting po to kasi nagkaroon po ng 1% deduction from 20% na pababa po ni PBBM ng 19% yung tariff imposed sa atin by USA. So for today po, I will be explaining the legal side of things and magbibigay din po ako ng mga personal point of view ko. So meron po tayong konting maritesan din po sa dulo ng video na to. So kung mag-enjoy po kayo sa video na to, sana po wag niyo kalimutan i-like yung video mismo and hopefully po makasubscribe din kayo sa YouTube channel ko. So unang-una po, yung pinaka-basic talaga dito is tingnan or explain ko po muna sa inyo kung ano ba yung authority ni PBBM to negotiate on behalf of the Philippines sa mga foreign bodies and other heads of state po ng mga ibang bansa. Okay? So ito pong kapangyarihan ni PBBM to negotiate with other heads of state is a constitutionally given power po to the office of the President because the President po represents us, the Filipino people, the taong bayan po in international affairs or international matters. So again, this is a constitutionally vested power po kay PBBM as the President of the Philippines. Okay, take note po it is given to the office of the President at hindi po dun sa tao mismo na nakaupo sa opisina. Pero mamaya ko na i-explain bakit ko yan nabanggit. Okay? And then yung pangalawang aspect naman po sa ganito, sa mga international affairs, meron din pong function dyan, although in a limited sense only, yung Senate of the Philippines, yung Congress po natin. Okay? So when it involves international treaties or international agreement, kailangan po yan ng concurrence of the Senate. Meaning, papagbotohan po ng Senate para mag-take into effect po yung treaty sa bansa natin. Okay? So ito pong pinasok ni PBBM with President Trump dito is ano po yan, hindi na po ito siya bago, di ba? Kasi kahit naman po wala itong negotiations na nangyari, meron naman po talagang tariffs already imposed sa Philippines and sa USA, di ba? Therefore, it is not something new. So ito pong action ni PBBM dito is what we call an executive agreement lang between heads of state. Okay, so pag executive agreement lang po siya, hindi po yan kailangan ng concurrence ng Senate. So ito pong 1% na nakuha ni PBBM na mapapaba niya ng 1%, hindi po yan kailangan na pagbotohan ng Senate para mag-take into effect siya. Because again, this is in the nature only of an executive agreement, therefore it no longer needs Senate concurrence. Okay, so hopefully klaro yan. So yung negotiation po, basically, you are negotiating with your kausap or yung possible or potential contracting party mo. And in negotiation po, yung pinaka-essence po niyan is dapat you are dealing on equal footing. Dapat ganun po yan, hindi lamang yung isang partido dun sa kausap niya. Otherwise, pag ganun, wala na pong negotiation dun, but rather that is now what we call an imposition na lang po of mga demands or yung kagustuhan ng isang partido. Okay, so yan po yung spirit and essence of negotiation. And yung isa pa pong kailangan natin tandaan in negotiation, hindi mo rin siya ini-insist na ikaw lang yung tama at yung kausap nyo rin po, hindi rin dapat niya ini-insist na siya yung tama yung position niya, di ba? Ang point po dito is maghahanap kayo dapat ng middle ground para ma-solve ninyo yung issues nyo as parties, di ba? So again, hindi po dapat ipamukha mo or insist mo na ikaw yung tama at hindi rin dapat ganun po contracting party nyo. Kasi kung i-insist mo lang po na ikaw yung tama at mali siya, pag ganyan, again, that is no longer negotiation but an imposition na po dun sa kausap ninyo. So kung ganyan na po yung situation nyo sa kausap ninyo, dapat po pumunta na kayo sa korte or sa barangay ba para at least meron na pong third party na mag-mediate or maging judge po between dun sa mga issues ninyong dalawa. Okay? So hopefully klaro po yan. So basahin po natin yung summary. 19% versus 0% tariffs is definitely not the most fair deal between decades-old friends or allies like the US and PH. So I absolutely agree po dito sa statement ni Senator Ping Lacson. So ito pong 0%, yung USA kasi wala na siyang tariffs. Hindi tayo nag-impose na po ng tariff sa mga i-import ng USA sa bansa natin. Pero tayo po, pag nag-export dun sa USA, meron tayong 19%. Kaya ito nasabi ni Senator Ping Lacson. Pero anyway, yung next sentence po na sinabi ni Senator Ping, that proposal is the worst insult that a host can throw at his guest. Maybe it is time for us to look for other trade partners. Okay, so galit na galit po si Senator Ping Lacson. So ito po, I absolutely agree kasi kung isipin po ninyo, yung Philippines po was a former colony, di ba, ng USA. Binili po tayo ng USA from Spain. Hindi na makontrol po yun ng Spain, yung revolution, yung army po nila Andres Bonifacio before, di ba? So, kung makita nyo, ganun na po katagal talaga yung dealings natin. And then, noong 1935, doon na po tayo inalaw ng USA na magkaroon ng sarili nating constitution. Pero anyway, hindi na po tayo mag-history lesson. Ang main point ko lang po dito, matagal na po talagang ka-deal ng Pilipinas yung USA. Pero kung titingnan po ninyo, despite the decades-old friends or allies, is walang special treatment po na binigay yung USA sa atin. Tapos lalo na po kung titingnan natin na sa Philippines meron din po yung mga EDCA sites, diba? Yung EDCA sites in a sense, kung ako po tatanungin ninyo, that is a military base basically ng United States of America. Kasi dyan po naka-assign yung mga sundalo nila and they have their equipment there. Pero despite that, putting us at risk na nandito po yung military and military equipment ng USA sa atin, the way they treated us po is similar lang sa mga other countries dito po sa area or sa region po natin sa mundo. So mamaya ipapakita ko rin sa inyo yung isa-isa ng mga po ng ibang bansa para mas ma-compare ninyo. More or less po kasi siguro na feel ni President Trump na talagang nangangailangan yung bansa natin currently via the administration ni PBBM, nangangailangan talaga nung services or may mga ilang bagay na kailangan nga ng government ni PBBM from USA, di ba? And usually po kasi in negotiation, pag ganyan, pag na-feel po ng contracting party mo na mas nangangailangan ka, of course, mas magiging firm yun siya. Tapos ang mangyari po niyan ngayon, ma-defeat na yung spirit of negotiation, di ba? So more or less po, magkakaroon na ng mga imposition, ng mga certain bagay-bagay. And kung ako po tatanungin ninyo, sa tingin ko, yung 1% na yan was more or less imposed na po yan ni President Trump kay PBBM. Kasi kung ikaw po yung presidente, I'm sure hindi ka naman papayag na 1% lang yung bababa, di ba? From 20%. So tatandaan po ninyo, yung 1% dito is only 5% po from 20%. Eh kung makita nga po natin sa mga tindahan, yung pinaka-common na amount or figures pag nagkaka-sale is more or less 10% starting rate yan, di ba? 10-20%. Pero dito, ang nakuha po nating discount is only 5%. So medyo lugi po talaga tayo dyan considering the relationship ng Philippines with the USA and considering the advantages po na nakukuha ng USA sa bansa natin. Okay? And idagdag ko na lang din po, di ba, paulit-ulit si President Trump, kung napanood yung video, sinasabi niya tough negotiator si PBBM. PBBM. Kung ako po tatanungin sa tingin ko doon, binubola na lang yun ni President Trump si PBBM para hindi na mag-insist na mapababa yung tariff rates. But again, this is just my personal opinion and personal observation na lang po. And again, kung ako po tatanungin, that is very embarrassing for us as a country. Kasi tatandaan po natin, when President Bongbong Marcos was there in the White House, he is representing the entire country po. He is dealing po as the Republic of the Philippines with the United States of America. Sana naman po, mas mas nakipagsikuhan pa siya ng konti kasi again, yung 1% is only 5% from 20%. In short, mababa po masyado ko ako tatanungin considering everything that is going on between Philippines and the USA. Plus yung advantage po ng location ng bansa natin bilang sa mga military matters po ng USA. So regarding that po, just please let me know, mag-comment din po kayo kung ano yung thoughts ninyo. Kung tingin ba ninyo nalugi tayo dito or patas lang ba to? So anyway, antayin ko po yung comments niyo at babasahin ko po yan eventually. Ngayon, ang tingnan naman po natin is yung ABC News naman. This is an article from ABC News. Meron po itong brief summary ng mga current interest rates already. Una po yung sa tariffs imposed ng US sa Japan na pababa po ng Japan to 15% from the proposed 25%. Diba? So that is a very big reduction, 10% decrease po. Tapos yung next naman po niyan, after meeting with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos, Trump said the import tax on products from his country would be subject to a 19%, down just 1% from the earlier threat of a 20% tariff. Okay, so kung kita nyo, again, 1% po sa atin. Plus po pala dito sa atin, 0% yung tariff na ng USA sa pag sila po yung nag-import ng mga products nila sa atin dito. So doon pa lang po medyo unfair, di ba? May 19% sa atin, sa kanila 0%. Tapos ang dami nilang pakinabang sa atin, yung mga EDCA sites. But anyway, tuloy po tayo. So ang next po ngayon, Indonesia naman. So Indonesia also will face a 19% tariff down from the 32% rate. So kung makita po ninyo sa Indonesia po, bumaba by 13% yung binaba. So 13% po is 40% ng 32%. So yung tariff rate po na inimpose ng USA sa Indonesia, napababa po ng Indonesia by 40%. Yan lang po yung sasabi ko. Ito, binibigay ko or pinapakita ko po sa inyo yung calculator para at least alam nyo rin. Diba sa atin, 5% lang yung effective value ng decrease. Sa Indonesia, nasa 40% yung binaba ng tariffs nila from the original na 32% dapat. So kahit na po sabihin ninyo na 19% lang din naman sa Indonesia, same sa atin yung final figure, pero yung binaba po ng Indonesia is from 32%. Diba? Again, that is a 40% decrease po. Sa atin, from 20 naging 19, 1%. That is just a 5% decrease. Tapos kung titingnan din ninyo, yung Indonesia naman, ano ba ang meron yung Indonesia na wala tayo as a country? Diba? Tapos dito nga po sa bansa natin, meron pang military sites yung US government via the EDCA sites. Wala namang ganun sa Indonesia. So I think dapat mas naging na pa natin yun, naging bargaining chip pa natin yun na merong mga EDCA sites po yung military, yung US military sa atin. Tapos wala po dito yung sa Singapore, but I was able to read in another article na 10% po yung tariff na inimpose sa Singapore. So kung makita po ninyo, Singapore pinakamababa. So ang question ulit dyan, ano ba meron ang Singapore na wala tayo as a country? Of course, ang pwedeng counter-argument dyan, mas malakas yung economy, yung business matters ng Singapore compared sa Philippines. Therefore, maybe they have a stronger trade relation between USA and Singapore. So, ang ganun pong status, that is the bargaining chip of Singapore with USA. Pero sa atin kasi, meron din naman tayong bargaining chip, merong mga EDCA sites in-install sa atin. So, dapat sana mas mas na-take advantage. So, kung pansin po niyo, inuulit-ulit ko yung EDCA sites kasi kung ako po tatanungin, tingin ko yung EDCA sites po is a very good bargaining chip po sana natin as a country considering the location po natin versus dun sa China, which is another superpower po sa mundo na malapit po sa geographical location ng Philippines. So in conclusion, ang masasabi ko lang po talaga dito, ito yung epekto pag nafe-feel po ng kontrata ninyo or nung ka-negotiate ninyo na mas kailangan ninyo sila, mas nagkakaroon po sila ng braso para mag-impose sa mga certain conditions po sa inyo. And it is most likely for that reason po, kaya sa constitution natin nakalagay doon na dapat mag-pursue talaga tayo as a country ng independent foreign policy. Tapos dapat po yung main goal or yung main objective ng independent foreign policy na yon is the preservation of the national interest of the Republic, the territorial integrity po ng bansa natin, and our national sovereignty. Okay, so yan po yung pinaka-essence po dapat ng negotiation natin. Independent foreign policy, meaning wala po dapat tayong pinapaboran, lahat po dapat kaibigan natin. And as a matter of fact, diba, si Senator Ping na nga, diba, gusto niya maghanap ng mga bagong trade partners kasi for him, na-insulto po siguro talaga si Senator Ping Lacson dito sa 1%. Okay, so anyway, hopefully klaro po yung discussion natin. If you like more legal videos po, may sasuggest yan dito si YouTube algorithm sa gilid ng mukha ko, so panoorin nyo na lang po. And if you want to be notified kung may bago po tayong upload, subscribe lang po kayo sa YouTube channel ko. And until next time, see you all. Bye-bye! So, good evening po taong bayan at ngayon po ang video natin is tungkol po dun sa recent development sa petition for certiorari filed ni VP Sara against the fourth impeachment complaint filed against her. Okay, so yung latest po, yung last video natin dito is yung title po na may judicial overreach. Okay, so dun po kasi diniscuss ko kung yung Supreme Court order and or resolution directing the Senate and the House of Representatives to clarify certain factual matters is kung nag-judicial overreach po ba yung Supreme Court dun sa order na yon. So ngayon po, ang pag-usapan naman natin is yung sagot na ng House of Representatives dun po sa Supreme Court resolution. And reminder lang po, kung nag-enjoy kayo sa video na to, huwag niyo po sana kalimutan i-like yung video po and of course, mag-subscribe din po sa YouTube channel. Okay, anyway, ngayon tuloy po tayo sa discussion. So ito po yung i-discuss natin, yung compliance po na final ng House of Representatives. Okay, so this is composed of 16 pages in total. And this one po, kung gusto niyo makuha yung actual copy, punta lang po kayo sa Supreme Court website, tapos punta po kayo dun sa public pleading section po ng website, and then i-search nyo na lang po yung Sara Z. Duterte na case, lalabas po to siya. Okay, so anyway, this is the compliance, respondents, House of Representatives, House, and Reginald S. Velasco in his official capacity as Secretary General of the House through Counsel, the Office of the Solicitor General, and in compliance with the Honorable Court's resolution dated July 8, 2025, respectfully state. Okay, so kung makita po niyo, unang-una yung abogado po dito ng House of Representatives is the Office of the Solicitor General already. So magandang laban po to basically between Vice President Sara Duterte and the OSG. Okay? So kung titingnan niyo po dito, merong preliminary remarks dito yung House. So everything dito is okay din naman po yung mga in-explain ng House of Representatives. So kung gusto niyo pa po ito mabasa or makita, i-search nyo lang po sa Supreme Court website, dun po sa sinabi ko kanina. Pero I will mainly discuss po for tonight yung mga nakita ko pong magandang topic for discussion kasi kasi hindi pa po siya clearly established kung ano ba talaga yung mga rights of the parties or definition dun sa mga papakita ko po sa inyo. Sinabi po ng House of Representatives dito that on the number of session days that lapsed from the time the complaints were properly endorsed by a member of the House of Representatives to its transmittal to the Speaker of the House of Representatives and its inclusion in the order of business, the 3 impeachment complaints were all transmitted to the Speaker of the House and included in the order of business on February 5, 2025 or on session day number 36 of the 3rd regular session of the 19th Congress, all within 10 session days from their filing. Okay, so yan po yung interesting kasi kung maalala po ninyo yung nasa Constitution kasi upon filing of the verified complaint, yung next directive po ng Constitution mismo is that within 10 session days, dapat malagay na agad siya sa calendar of business ng House of Representatives. So dito po sa letter E, sabi ng House ngayon, nasunod daw to yung 10 session day requirement and they were able to include it in the order of business on February 5, 2025. Tapos dito po further, meron pa silang in-explain. Yung first impeachment complaint po was filed on December 2, 2024, Congress Session number 26. Yung second on December 4, 2024, Congress Session number 27. And then the third complaint on December 19, 2024, Congress Session number 29. So kung makita po ninyo, as per dito sa compliance ng House of Representatives, the number of session days from filing endorsement for the first complaint, 10 days daw yung February 5 to December 2, the difference. In session days po yung bilang according to the House. And then for the second impeachment complaint, within 9 days naman daw po nila na-file nung February 5 also. And then yung third, within 7 session days. Okay, so yan po yung explanation ng House of Representatives. So in summary po, itong pinaka-point ng House dito, nasunod yung 10 session day requirement na dapat malagay sa order of business ng isang verified impeachment impeachment complaint. Okay, so yan po yung summary niyan. At yung pinaka-interesting point po talaga dito is because ito po, and makita ninyo, linagay ng House of Representatives dito yung session day sila, yung session number. So kung makita po nyo, session number 26, one calendar day lang po siya, December 2. Session number 27, 2 calendar days siya, December 3 and 4. Tapos session number 28, 3 calendar days naman po siya, December 9 to 11. Session number 29, again, 3 calendar days, December 16, 17, 18. Anyway, yung point ko po dito, there are multiple session days dito na consisted or was composed of multiple calendar days. So because of this computation ng House of Representatives na may ilang session days po na multiple calendar days, therefore nasunod daw nila yung within 10 session day requirement ng Constitution. Okay? And ito po in-explain pa dito ng House is that yung calendar day daw is different from session days. And yung main argument nila basically dito is that yung isa pong session day, pwede po siya makompose of multiple calendar days. So that is actually a very interesting legal position po ng House of Representatives. And because of that interpretation po ng House, na-comply po nila, according to them, the HOR, yung 10 session day requirement of the Constitution. Okay? So yan po yung explanation ng House of Representatives. And the reason kung bakit ko po nasabi na interesting to siya, kasi wala pong clear definition talaga of a session day in the Constitution or in the House of Representatives Rules of Procedure po mismo. Wala nang sasabi doon na ang isang session day shall only be composed of one calendar day or that it can be composed of multiple calendar days. So this is actually a very good issue po talaga na hopefully ma-interpret po talaga at bigyan ng resolution ng Supreme Court para ma-determine natin what is the proper way to define and to compute or calculate po mga session days. Okay? And tingnan na lang din po natin actually yung sa House of Representatives Rules of Procedure nila. So ito po, makikita ninyo ito sa website ng House of Representatives. Hanapin nyo lang po ito. This is the Rules of the House of Representatives for the 19th Congress. Okay? So tatandaan po ninyo, 19th Congress pa na-file yung impeachment complaint. So yung Rules of Procedure nung panahon na yun, yung susundin at hindi po yung sa current Congress ngayon na 20th Congress. Pero anyway, ito po yung nakalagay sa rules ng House of Representatives regarding mga session. So kung makikita po niyo, Rule 11, the session, Section 70, commencement of daily sessions. So nakalagay, daily sessions shall commence at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Mondays through Thursdays, and if necessary, every Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning unless the House decides otherwise. So yan lang po yung pinaka definition dito of a session. So kung titingnan natin, ang nakalagay dito, daily sessions, diba? Daily sessions commenced in the afternoon of 3 on Mondays through Thursdays. So ang sabi dito, through Mondays and Thursdays, it shall be composed of daily sessions. So yan po yung isang argument dito. Since this rule makes mention here of the word sessions, plural, hindi po session. So yung pag-undergo po ng session ng House in the afternoon on Mondays through Thursdays, pwede po siya i-argue na multiple session days yun siya at hindi siya one session day lang that is composed of multiple calendar days. Okay, but however, that is only my interpretation po as a lawyer. This is assuming po gusto natin mag-argue against dun sa explanation na binigay ng House of Representatives. Pero just because I'm explaining does not mean ako po yung tama. Kasi at the end of the day, wala pa naman pong clear definition talaga, di ba? I am just simply, kasi yung wording dito is medyo vague. Therefore, we can argue na since sessions yung mentioned, plural, ito pong afternoon on Mondays through Thursdays, pwede natin sabihin na one session day should reflect only one calendar day. Okay, so yan po yung pwede nating gamiting argument against doon. But again, I'm not saying I am correct. This is just food for thought po, just for discussion purposes. Kaya nga, nasabi ko po na very interesting yung argument doon or explanation po ng House of Representatives para at least ma-clarify talaga kung ano ba yung definition ng session in relation to multiple or single calendar days. Okay, so next pong titingnan natin dito is still in Rule 11 pa rin po, Section 85 naman. So nakalagay po dyan, session shall not be adjourned except by direction of the House. The Speaker may declare a suspension or recess of short interval at any time. Diba? So ito po yung interesting kasi kung kita nyo, may declare a suspension or recess of short interval at any time. So kung hindi na short interval yung recess, dun po posibleng magkaroon ng additional argument pa sila Vice President Sara Duterte, considering, kung ako po tatanungin na, this is just my point of view, my professional point of view, if more than one day yung recess, hindi na po yun reasonable to be considered as a short interval of time because that will lapse by ilang hours na po, di ba? One calendar day na nga yung naging difference. So dapat kung nag-recess sila, example, this date, tapos pinatuloy nila or kinontinue nila yung recess na in the next date, then it can be argued na since hindi na yun siya short interval of a time, then dapat yung pag-reach ng let's say hating gabi nung unang day is already considered as a termination of that session day. Tapos yung sa next, pag-continue nila, dapat ano na yun, next session day. Pero yun nga po, since wala pang clear interpretation dito, hindi ko rin po pwede insist na ako yung tama. Ito lang po yung mga nakikita kong possible arguments po sa side nila Vice President Sara Duterte. And of course, I am not arguing or explaining already the side of the House of Representatives. Kasi kung basahin nyo naman po itong compliance mismo, makikita ninyo dyan kung ano yung mga arguments na pabor sa kanila. So, mas maganda po i-discuss natin kung ano yung mga possible arguments dito para mas interesting po in discussion natin. Okay, so anyway, yan po yung section 85 and yung section 70 po ng Rule 11 the session, yung mga pwede nating gamitin for argument para mas ma-clarify talaga yung issue whether or not one session day can be composed or constituted of multiple calendar days. Okay, so yan po yung first na issue maganda talaga dito sa itong explanation po ng House of Representatives. Whether or not yung articles of impeachment transmitted to the Senate and as to the evidence supporting each and every article, whether Vice President Sara Z. Duterte was given the opportunity to be heard on the evidence shared with the members of the House of Representatives. So nagsagot po dito yung House of Representatives na no. Ibig sabihin po dyan, hindi na nila binigyan ng opportunity to be heard on the evidence shared with the members of the House, si Vice President Sara Duterte. Okay, so explanation po ng House of Representatives dito, neither the 1987 Constitution or the House impeachment rules impose any requirement affording the respondent impeachable officer a prior opportunity to be heard. Diba? One, before members constituting at least one-third of the House may file verified complaint for impeachment, or two, before transmitting to the Senate the articles of impeachment filed by at least one-third of all the members of the House. Respondents respectfully attach as Annex 4 a certified true copy of the House impeachment rules of the 19th Congress, which was promulgated under the authority of Section 3.8, Article 11 of the 1987 Constitution. So ito po, I agree dito with the House of Representatives na walang requirement naman nga po talaga na nakalagay sa Constitution natin na kailangan mag-respond si Vice President Sara Duterte dun sa Congress, sa House of Representatives level po once na file po yung impeachment complaint. Wala pong requirement there to file a counter affidavit. Yung requirement lang po is that once the articles of impeachment was approved by the House of Representatives, it was voted upon by the House of Representatives, dapat i-transmit na siya sa Senate para yun nga, mag-forthwith proceed na yung trial. So this one, inisipan ko po to ng counter argument, but unfortunately wala akong maisip kasi I also reviewed the Constitution and the rules of the House. Wala akong makitang requirement na dapat mag-submit or mag-file ng counter affidavit po si Vice President Sara Duterte sa House of Representatives level. And I think yung iba dito, they will argue na since this is in the nature na parang accused na si Vice President Sara Duterte, therefore she should be given the right to explain herself. But we have to remember po kasi yung impeachment proceeding, impeachment process has already been defined by the Supreme Court as political in nature. Therefore, hindi po natin strictly ma-apply yung mga rules of procedure po involving regular criminal cases. Okay? And plus dito po, since nasa House of Representatives level pa lang, very specific din naman po yung Constitution natin when it comes to the filing and procedure regarding yung mga impeachment complaints po natin. I am very curious po kung ano yung magiging response ng Supreme Court dito. Kasi at the end of the day, of course, di ba, Supreme Court is the final arbiter po when it comes to the interpretation of laws natin. So baka meron akong na-miss na alam po ng mga justices natin. So I'm very interested po to see ano yung magiging outcome or yung sagot ng Supreme Court dito eventually as to this issue. So ito po yung may mga consolidated response din yung House of Representatives dito is sa letter F, G, H, and J. Inisa na lang po nila. So ito po yung sabi ng House. Respondents most respectfully beg the indulgence of the Honorable Court and conveys the need to decline responding to inquiries F, G, H and further respond to inquiry J. It is the position of the House that these matters pertain to its internal proceedings which have always been regarded as beyond the jurisdiction and scrutiny of this Honorable Court. This is especially because the matters referred to the preparation, circulation, and peruse. Basahin nyo na po ito kung gusto nyo basahin. Insofar as this House is concerned, any further inquiry into the House internal proceedings absent a constitutional basis is unwarranted. So in summary po, yung main point dito ng House is that political question na daw yun or political matters na yung tinatanong ng Supreme Court kung saan gusto po ng Supreme Court mag-clarify yung House of Representatives. And for that one po, tama naman po yung House of Representatives dito na if it is a political question already involves yung mga internal matters of the House, may jurisprudence na po on that matter na pag political question talaga, then wala na pong jurisdiction doon yung Supreme Court po. Hands off na dapat sila. Okay? And again, this is just my personal point of view lang po ito. So, as to these matters sa items F, G, H, and J, it can be argued po talaga na political question na siya considering na at the end of the day po kasi kung yung member ng House hindi niya binasa ng maayos yung impeachment complaint, hindi niya chinek yung evidence ng maayos yung impeachment complaint, tapos mag-vote na lang po siya for yes, then that is, of course, that is clearly a political matter na, di ba? Kasi depende na yun sa sa congressman or sa representative whether or not he will vote despite him not studying fully the contents, di ba? Doon po ninyo makikita talaga yung pagiging political in nature ng impeachment process starting all the way po from the level ng House of Representatives. And ito po, i-share ko na lang din. I have also personal knowledge since I'm a former congressman po during the 17th Congress. I'm a former deputy minority leader during the 17th Congress. May personal knowledge po talaga ako na madami pong congressman or may ilang pong congressman talaga dyan na hindi na fully nare-review yung mga documents na yan. Tapos gumagaya or nagtatanong na lang po yan sila sa mga kapwa nila, congressmen, ng guidance kung ano yung gagawin nila sa mga ganitong situation. And that is the reason kung bakit po merong mga party leaders po yan sa House. Let's say merong leader for this party, the leader naman for this other party. Tapos kung ano sabihin ng leader nila, usually yung mga party mates niya nila, susunod talaga yan sila sa compass or sa mandate po ng leader ng partido nila. Okay? At dyan po, makikita nyo talaga yung pagiging political nature. And yung impeachment po kasi talaga, kung titingnan natin yung Constitution, it involves a voting process and as explained already by the Supreme Court, it is mainly political in nature. So yung mga ibang questions dito ng Supreme Court is political question na po siya from my point of view. Okay? Pero hindi naman po porket sa tingin ko na political question na yung mga ibang matters dito is automatic valid agad yung impeachment complaint. Kasi ako naman po, yung professional assessment ko, may potential problem talaga dun sa 10 session day and 3 session day requirement under the Constitution. Tapos kung makita pa ninyo dito, yung pag-justify ng House is yung multiple calendar days constituted as one session day. And like what I've explained kanina, medyo malabo po yun if we follow the rules of the House of Representatives. And if you also look at mga precedents, there is actually one case na involving ganito yung computation or yung counting ng calendar days in relation to session days. But it's a very old case po, 1960s pa. So hindi ko na lang siya diniscuss kasi iba pa po yung constitution ng panahon na yon. But in that case po, kinonsider as one session day, one calendar day lang. Hindi pwede yung multiple calendar days into one session day. It can still be argued na this one is violative of the rules of the House of Representatives itself based on dito nga sa mga in-explain ko na provisions ng rules po ng House of Representatives. Okay? So hopefully klaro po yung discussion natin. If you like more legal videos po, may lalabas yan dito na i-recommend sa inyo ng YouTube algorithm. And if you want to be notified kung may bago po tayong upload, subscribe lang po kayo sa YouTube channel ko. And until next time, see you all po. Bye-bye! Okay, so good evening po. At ang papag-usapan po natin for today's video is the most recent independent audits report po ng Commission on Audit regarding the funds for the budget of the Office of the Vice President for the year 2024. Okay, so medyo madami po kasing misconception about this. So mag-explain na lang po tayo kung ano ba talaga yung value ng mga ganitong audit report at kung ano yung ibig sabihin ba talaga ng mga unmodified opinion na yan. Okay? So of course, for those of you who are not aware, yung may trabaho po kasi para mag-audit ng funds ng mga government offices, one of which is the Office of the Vice President. Yung Office of the Vice President po kasi it's considered as a national government agency or an NGA. So anyway po, yung may jurisdiction po niyan or yung may trabaho po niyan sa government natin is yung Commission on Audit. Okay, so kung makikita nyo, by the very name itself of the Commission, COA po talaga ang may function to audit, okay? At yung ibig sabihin naman po ng audit, it is the review of the transactions po ng isang government office kung paano na gamit yung pondo na yun, kung tama ba, may violations ba, mayroon bang mga illegal transactions, so on and so forth. Yun po yung purpose ng isang audit, okay? Para tingnan po kung meron bang anomalies or malinis ba yung paggamit ng pondo. Okay, and isa pa pong gusto ko lang din idagdag, yung Commission on Audit po actually, it is a constitutional commission po yan. Meaning, it is a government office, it is a commission, to be specific, that is created po expressly by the Constitution. Okay, tapos yung audit function po ng COA, it is constitutionally granted also to it. Tapos ang isa pa pong ibig sabihin or important sa mga constitutional commissions is that although they are in a sense po parang under sila ng executive branch, however, being a constitutional commission, they are independent po from the executive branch. Meaning, yung functions nila, they do not answer or follow po the directives of the executive branch. Okay? Again, independent po yung mga constitutional commissions natin. So kung makikita po ninyo, ganyan po ka-powerful yung Commission on Audit. Okay? So isa pa pong commission is of course the Commission on Elections, pero that is going to be a discussion for another video. Ngayon po, focus lang tayo sa Commission on Audit. So kung makita po niyo, Republic of the Philippines, Commission on Audit, Commonwealth Avenue, Quezon City, Independent Auditors Report. The Honorable Vice President, Republic of the Philippines, 11th floor, Robinson Cybergate Plaza, EDSA Corner, Pioneer Street, Mandaluyong City. So ito pong binabasa ko pala is a news article from News 5. So this has already been heavily covered naman na po by the mainstream media. So you can just search for this kung gusto ninyo. Pero anyway, ito po yung sinabi. Opinion, and then we have audited the accompanying financial statements of the Office of Vice President, which comprise the statement of financial position as on December 31, 2024, and the statement of financial performance, statement of cash flow, statement of changes in net assets/equity, statement of comparison of budget and actual amounts for the year, then ended, and notes of financial statements including summary of significant accounting policies. So in summary po, ibig sabihin lang nito, in-audit nila talaga yung buong pondo ng OVP up to December 31, 2024. Okay? Tapos after po nila in-audit yun, ngayon nagbigay na sila ng opinion dito sa second paragraph. In our opinion, the company financial statements present fairly in all material respects. The financial position of OVP as of December 31, 2024 and its financial performance, cash flows, changes in net assets/equity, and comparison of budget and actual amounts for the year, then ended, and notes of financial statement including summary of significant accounts policies in accordance with international public sector accounting standards. Okay, so yung pinaka-important pong iti-take note natin dito is that yung financial statements daw present fairly in all material respects na yung financial position of OVP as of this date, December 31, 2024, ay nasunod daw in accordance dun sa international public sector accounting standards. Kasi ganyan po kasi yan, di ba? Pag nagre-review po na, or pag nagsacertify ng mga certain bagay, usually meron yan silang basis, di ba, kung bakit nila na-certify to a certain extent yung mga bagay-bagay. So dito po yung basis ng nature or yung type ng pag-audit is nakabase po dito sa International Public Sector Accounting Standards or IPSASS. Okay, so and based po dito sa IPSASS, nagsunod po or nag-comply yung OVP to that set of standards ng IPSASS. Okay, so yan po yan. Okay, next naman po dyan is basis for opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards of supreme audit institutions. Pero anyway, I'm assuming po na gets nyo naman na yung main point ko talaga dito. So if you want to read this po, you can read this naman verbatim. I-search nyo na lang po, lalabas naman na to siya. Because again, this has already been heavily covered by the mainstream media. Pero in summary po, ito yung summary niyan. OVP receives unmodified opinion from COA. Tapos in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects. Okay? So ngayon, ang next question po natin, so ang sagot po dyan is nandito po yan sa Commission on Audit mismo, sa website po nila. Specifically sa FAQs po, Frequently Asked Questions portion ng website ng Commission on Audit. So masisearch naman po ninyo yan. Ayan, Home, Frequently Asked Questions, General, what is an unmodified opinion? So ito po, tingnan natin, basahin po natin. An unmodified opinion, also referred to as unqualified opinion, is an opinion. Of course, kaya nga opinion, di ba? Issued when the auditor concludes that the financial statements are prepared in all material respects in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework. Okay? So for this purpose, the auditor's evaluation includes due consideration of quantitative and qualitative materiality established based on the prescribed COA's audit guidelines. As such, an unmodified/unqualified opinion does not necessarily mean that there were no misstatements found during the audit, nor there were no uncorrected misstatements as at year-end. it is possible that the misstatements found during the audit were already corrected by the audited agency, or that the incorrect misstatements are not material quantitatively and qualitatively. Moreover, this does not entail that the audited agency fully complies with all the laws, rules, and regulations, or that the use of funds on the agency's programs, projects, and activities are economical, effective, or efficient. Okay, so anyway po, ang main summary lang natin dito, unang-una, yung unmodified opinion daw, pag nakabase siya dun sa applicable financial reporting framework, itong PFRS, IPSAS, as prepared po ng government office, as submitted to the COA, and as reviewed by the COA. Pero kung makita rin po niyan ninyo dito sa next paragraph, sinabi rin ng COA dito na yung unmodified/unqualified opinion does not necessarily mean that there were no misstatements found during the audit. So meaning, posible pong nagkaroon ng misstatements, pero again, kinlarify yan ngayon naman ng COA sa next sentence. Kasi sabi rin nila dito that the misstatements found during the audit were already corrected, or that the uncorrected misstatements are not material quantitatively and qualitatively. So yung ibig sabihin po, posibleng nagkaroon ng misstatements pero naayos na or nasolve na po between COA and the government office, or possible din na yung misstatements are very minimal na hindi siya magka-qualify na mako-consider as violation of the auditing standards na sinusunod ng COA, okay? And yung last pang kinlarify dito ng COA is hindi porket may unmodified opinion is ibig sabihin daw na fully compliant yung government office na yun sa laws, rules, and regulations as to the use of its funds. So in short, posible pa rin pong nagkaroon talaga ng lapses or may lapses pa rin po yung isang government agency despite the unmodified opinion of COA, okay? So ngayon, ang next question po natin, so ang rason po kung bakit yan inuulit-ulit talaga ng COA na nag-comply lang yung government office sa auditing standards nila when they issue an unmodified opinion is because of the function po and the nature of the Commission on Audit, okay? So yung sagot po dyan is nasa name po mismo ng COA, di ba? Kung titingnan po ninyo, it is the Commission on Audit, meaning ang trabaho po niya is mag-audit lang. Kaya titingnan lang po talaga niya is whether or not nasunod ba yung auditing standards na ginagamit nila. And kung nasunod yun, of course, they will issue an unmodified opinion, okay? And yun nga po, since audit yung trabaho nila, yung main trabaho po ng COA, di po pasok sa power nila yung mag-prosecute ng mga criminal cases, okay? So kung meron pong mga potential criminal violations, criminal lapses, yung dapat po mag-investigate dyan, mag-prosecute is none other than the Department of Justice, yung DOJ po yung may jurisdiction dyan, okay? Kaya again, yun yung rason kung bakit inuulit-ulit to ng COA na posible daw may misstatements, posibleng may laws, rules, or and regulations pa rin na violate despite the unmodified opinion, because yun nga po, limited lang yung function ng COA to auditing. Prosecution and investigation, dapat DOJ na po primarily yung mag-handle niyan, okay? At hindi ko po sinabi na because of this explanation, ibig sabihin may violate na agad yung OVP. Hindi rin po yun ganun. At present lang po, tingnan lang natin, there is an issuance of an unmodified opinion, tapos wala pa naman tayong nakikita ang actual criminal cases filed against the OVP. At dahil po dyan, ngayon punta na po tayo sa most interesting question of the night in my opinion. Ang isa pong unmodified opinion, despite it simply touching on the auditing standards na comply ng isang government office, importante pa rin po yan kahit na yun nga auditing side lang yung hinahawakan niya. Kasi po, dahil po sa isang unmodified opinion, meron ngayon papasok na tinatawag natin na principle of presumption of regularity as to the spending of the public funds by the office of the Vice President. Okay, so ano po ba ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin po niyan ngayon, lahat ng paggastos ng Vice President, ng Office of the Vice President, presumed regular yan siya at present. Since again, wala pa namang any evidence to the contrary. Therefore, because there is an unmodified opinion from COA, the presumption is regular at tama yung paggastos ng OVP sa pondo nila for the year 2024. Okay, so yan po yung importance niyan. Okay, so pangit naman po kung sabihin niyo na walang value yung mga unmodified opinion na yan, ganyan-ganyan, kasi posible pa rin may mga criminal law violations, mga rules or regulations na violations. However, yun nga po, despite the possibilities of those criminal cases later on, at present, unless and until there is clear evidence to the contrary or a court order or decision na nagsabing may criminal violation talaga, pag wala pa po yung mga ganyan, ang presumption po, regular yung paggamit ng pondo ng Office of the Vice President. Okay? Yan po yung value ng isang unmodified opinion, and that applies po not only to the Office of the Vice President of the Philippines, but applies to any other government office po na na-issue isyuhan ng unmodified opinion. Okay? Kaya mali po yung sinasabi nila na wala daw value yan kasi posible pa rin naman daw magkaroon ng mga criminal violations and or lapses. Pero yun nga po, unless and until meron ng court order or decision clearly stating na may criminal violation, ang papasok at mag-govern pa rin po is the presumption of regularity in the spending performed by the OVP for the year 2024. Okay? So ngayon punta po tayo sa final discussion natin para mas maintindihan nyo talaga. Okay, so ito po yung example na ibibigay ko sa inyo in relation with the presumption of regularity. So baka po nagtataka kayo bakit nandito po si FPRRD sa example natin. And the reason kung bakit ito po yung binibigay ko na example, para po medyo nasa extreme side tayo. Okay, this is an extreme comparison para mas maintindihan nyo talaga. Kasi if we give extreme examples po kasi, mas madali natin ma-visualize. And isa pa po, si FPRRD kasi pag siya yung pinapag-usapan, ano to, it really adds spice to the snack.
নমস্কার বন্ধুরা, আমাদের সকল বন্ধুদের জানাই নতুন বছরের শুভকামনা। সবাই খুব ভালো থাকবেন। আর এই দেখুন, আমরা যেখানে থাকি নতুন বছরেই 4 জানুয়ারি রাত্রিবেলাতে ভীষণ স্নোফল হয়েছিল, সেটাও আপনাদের সাথে তুলে ধরলাম। কি সুন্দর লাগছে না? এই নতুন বছরে একটি নতুন রেসিপি নিয়ে আপনাদের সামনে হাজির হয়ে গেলাম। রেসিপিটি একদম নতুনত্ব, তাই লাস্ট অবধি দেখার অনুরোধ রইল। এই রেসিপিটির নাম হলো থেপলা। এটা গুজরাটের খাবার। এবার আপনাদের মনে হতেই পারে এই গুজরাটি খাবারটা আমি কি করে শিখলাম। এর পেছনে একটা গল্প আছে, অবশ্যই আপনাদের সাথে শেয়ার করব। তবে এটা বলে রাখি, এই থেপলাটা আমি মেথি দিয়ে করেছিলাম, মানে মেথি শাক, সেটা দিয়ে করেছিলাম, তাই এটার নাম হলো মেথি থেপলা। তো এবারে বলি গল্পটা। হয়েছে কি, এটা আমার হাজব্যান্ড আমাকে শিখিয়েছে। কাজের সূত্রে যখন আমার হাজব্যান্ড গুজরাটে পোস্টিং হয়েছিল, তখন তার এক বন্ধুর বাড়িতে সে থেকেছিল। অনেক গল্প সূত্রে তো জানা গিয়েছে যে আমার হাজব্যান্ড একটু রান্না বান্নাতে প্যাশন আছে, মানে করতে খুব ভালোবাসে। তো সেখানে যখন খেতে দেওয়া হয়েছিল, তো তার মধ্যে এই থেপলা ছিল। তো ওর খেয়ে খুবই ভালো লেগেছিল। তো তখন জানতে চেয়েছিল যে এটা কিভাবে বানানো হয়। তো সেখানেই বলেছে তার বন্ধুর মা যে এইভাবে বানানো হয়। এই থেপলাটা গুজরাটের সব খাবারের মধ্যে একটা বিখ্যাত খাবার। আশা করি আপনাদের সবার ভালো লাগবে। যদিও এটা ও আমাকে হাতে খড়ি দিয়ে শেখায়নি, ও বলে দিয়েছে আর আমি বানিয়েছি। ঘরে এই সব উপকরণগুলোই থাকবে আপনাদের সবার বাড়িতে। আর খুবই সহজভাবে এটা আমি দেখিয়েছি। আশা করি আপনাদের খুবই ভালো লাগবে। আমি তো এই থেপলাটা খেয়ে ফ্যান হয়ে গিয়েছি, সত্যি কথা বলতে। কারণ এটা আমি ফার্স্ট টাইম বানিয়েছি আর ফার্স্ট টাইম খেয়েওছি। আর এটা আমি মাঝে মধ্যেই এখন করে থাকি, তাই আপনাদের সাথে শেয়ার করে নিলাম এই রেসিপিটি। আর হ্যাঁ বন্ধুরা, যেটা বলছিলাম, যারা যারা আমার চ্যানেলে এখনও সাবস্ক্রাইব করেননি বা নতুন এসছেন, অবশ্যই সাবস্ক্রাইব করে আমাদের পাশে থাকবেন। আমি অনেক নতুন নতুন রেসিপি নিয়ে আসি। শুধু আমি নই, আমার শাশুড়ি মা, আমার স্বামী খুব ভালো ভালো রান্না করে আর খুব ভালো ভালো রেসিপি নিয়ে আসে। তো অবশ্যই দেখবেন, শিখবেন আর আমাদেরকে কমেন্ট করে বলবেন আপনাদের কেমন লাগলো রেসিপিগুলো। রেসিপি ছাড়াও অনেক ব্লগও দিই আমি, তো অবশ্যই দেখবেন আর আমাদের পাশে থাকবেন। তো কথা বলতে বলতে দেখুন, এখানে আমার মাখাও হয়ে গেছে। তো এই মাখাটা আমি 30 মিনিট রেখে দেব। 30 মিনিট পরে তারপর আবার একটু ভালো করে মেখে তারপর বানাতে শুরু করব। এবারে এক একটা করে লেচি কেটে আমি রুটির মতো করে বেলে নেব, তারপরে আমি সেঁকে নেব। আপনারা দেখতেই পারবেন আমি কিভাবে এটা সেঁকবো, খুবই সহজ পদ্ধতি। আমি এইভাবে এক একটা করে গোল করে নিলাম, লেচি কেটে নিলাম। এবারে আমি বেলে নেব। এই বেলতে বেলতে আমার আর একটা জিনিস মনে পড়ে গেল, যদিও এটা স্মৃতি, ভালো স্মৃতি, একটু শেয়ার করি আপনাদের সাথে। স্মৃতিটা হলো এই, স্কুল লাইফে তখন আমার খুব ইচ্ছে হতো যে আমি রুটি বানাবো। তো স্কুল লাইফে আমি রুটি বানাতাম, আর সত্যি বলতে আমার কিছুতেই রুটি যতই বানাই না কেন গোল হতো না। নানা দেশের মানচিত্র হতো, ভারতের, শ্রীলঙ্কার, আরও কত যে মানচিত্র হতো কি বলবো আপনাদের। আর তেমনি পাঁপড় হতো। তো মা আমাকে অত রুটি করতে দিত না, বলতো তুই করতে করতে সে হবে, ঠিক আছে। এবার যতবারই করি ততবারই গোল হতো না, মানচিত্র হতো আর পাঁপড় হতো। তো করলাম কি, ঠিক আছে, তো আগে আমি গোল করব, তারপরে শেখাশেখি পরে, ভালো কথা। এরকম করতে 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 একদিন কে জানে কি হলো, হয়তো সূর্য অন্য দিক দিয়ে উঠেছিল, হুট করে আমার হাতে গোল হয়ে গেছে একটা রুটি। তো ওই গোল রুটিটা নিয়ে আমি সবাইকে দেখাতে শুরু করে দিয়েছি যে এই দেখো আমার রুটি গোল হয়েছে। সেদিনকে যে আমি কি আনন্দ হয়েছিল আমার, মানে আনন্দে আত্মহারা যাকে বলে। তো যদিও তারপরের রুটিগুলো আবার তেনা বেঁকা হয়ে গেছিল, ওই একটাই রুটি আমার গোল হয়েছিল। তো সেই দিনকে মা ওই গোল রুটিটা আমাদের চারজনকে অল্প অল্প করে দিয়েছিল, দিয়ে বলেছিল এই যে আমার মেয়ে এই প্রথম গোল রুটি বানিয়েছে, তাই সবাইকে অল্প অল্প করে দিলাম। সত্যি কথা বলতে সেটাই ছিল আমার রিওয়ার্ড। আমার সেদিনকে এত আনন্দ হয়েছিল যে কি বলবো, আর সেটা সবাই খুব আনন্দ সহকারেই খেয়েছিল। এই রুটিটা বেলতে বলতে হঠাৎ আমার ওই স্মৃতিগুলো মনে পড়ে গেল যে সত্যি কি দিন ছিল। আর এখন যখন রুটি করি ভালোই গোল হয়। ওই প্রথম গোল আর এখন গোলের মধ্যে অনেক তফাৎ আছে। ওই বলে না, সময়ই মানুষকে অনেক কিছু শিখিয়ে দেয়, এটাও একটা ব্যাপার যে সত্যি করতে করতে শিখে গেছি। এই দেখুন, দেখতে দেখতে আর আপনাদের সাথে গল্প করতে করতে আমার থেপলাও রেডি হয়ে গেল। এটা হলো দ্বিতীয় নম্বর থেপলা। হ্যাঁ, ঠিক এইরকম ভাবেই আমি শিখেছি, খুবই সামান্য ঘি দিয়ে। ঘি দিয়ে শিখলে দুর্দান্ত লাগে, আপনারা তেল দিয়েও করতে পারেন।
Gusto mo ng hot choco? Hot choco. Gusto mo ba na may tamis ang mga binili ko.
Ayun.
Binili. Yung sawa ng kabilisan. Suwaba lang yung binili ko. Ilan pa ito suwaba? Ang ganyan. Nilagyan namin ng sibuyas. Dito pa siya. Hindi sakit pa. Kasi loob nila. Lagi ko. Ito yung gagawin kong hot choco.
Ay, naubos din yun.
Gusto mo. Mga tsokolate na nga iniinom ko eh. Yung black chocolate. Gusto mo ta? Ice o ano? Hot.